Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing great on this beautiful Monday morning. It is a chilly start to the day here in Albuquerque, but I'm confident it will warm into a beautiful day. And yeah, I hope everybody's doing great. Anyway, so to get this party started, I just had a few things to say. So, and I'll make this quick. So about a year ago, me and my wife divorced. Now it's actually been less than a year, but we split up about a year ago. We divorced 6 to 8 months ago, roughly. But still, it hasn't been a year yet since the ink was even dry on that paper. So, my ex-wife, let's just call her Sarah. Me and her were together for almost 5 years before we got married. And we were married for not even a year. We had one child, a beautiful baby boy. My son is just an amazing little boy. And I had a daughter from a previous relationship that, Sarah assumed the stepmother role of, and she did it. At first she did it willingly, and honestly I thought it would be something that would go smoothly, but she eventually ended up not being such a great stepmother to my daughter, and I didn't see that at the time, unfortunately, just because I loved her. I still do. She was my wife, I don't think you marry someone unless you really truly love them, right? At least that's how I feel. But anyhow, back to the story. So basically, me and my wife, from my side of it, I thought we had a pretty good relationship. We had decent communication. It wasn't always great, but it was the kind of communication where we could reach conclusions together. We could hash out conflicts, which I thought we did pretty well. I would later find out that every single conflict that we apparently gained a resolution about was not actually resolved in her mind. So I guess we didn't resolve any of those things, but I was led to believe that we had good communication, the sad part is I found out that she had kind of kept this guy on the side for our whole relationship. And I didn't find this out till, of course, when the relationship was falling to pieces and she already had this guy on the side, It hasn't even been less than a year since the ink on our divorce was dry. It hasn't even been, it's been a little over a year since, we separated as far as living together. And she didn't want to go to counseling. She didn't want to do any of that kind of stuff. And she didn't want to make it work, despite what she might have said. I did everything she asked. I wanted to go to counseling. I wanted to make it work. And every time I did what she asked, it didn't seem to be enough. It's like, I feel like maybe she was hoping that I wouldn't do those things so that she would have a reason to say, oh, well, you're not willing to do this, then, I'm out of the relationship. But I was willing to do it. I was willing to go to counseling. I was willing to go to, IOP and all these things. And I was willing to work on myself and our relationship. But that's not what she actually wanted, which... I get it. If she didn't want to be in a relationship, that's fine. But, we were married, and not even a year. If the relationship was that traumatic as she claims it was, or as, then I feel like marriage was the last thing you'd want to do, I honestly, I'm still flabbergasted about it, which is, I guess, why I'm talking about it, because frankly, it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm pretty sure I made sense of it just with the knowledge and experience and wisdom that I've gained through other relationships I've had over the years, that have kind of taught me what a lot of these women don't actually say when they say things and what they actually mean when they do things, and unfortunately I have been cheated on. I have been in relationships where someone has kept someone on the side, or who immediately went into almost another relationship right out the bat, which is exactly what she did. She literally claimed that being in our relationship, she, was unhealthy for her, and at first it came out like that, and then she started throwing, words around like abuse, and I knew the moment she threw the word abuse out there that she wasn't trying to work on the relationship. She wasn't trying to make this a easy breakup like she had said, okay? She was trying to slip out the back of the relationship, and she needed a reason to get out of it quick. She needed a reason to appear like a victim. She needed everyone around her to see that, oh, well, I'm not just getting out of the relationship because I'm bored with it, or I'm just not happy in it, or I'm sick of being with this person. No. She had to be like, well, I'm getting out of the relationship because he's an abusive drug addict and he's a terrible father and all these things, which up to that point, we still had great intimacy. We still had good communication. 3 or 4 days before this, she decided she was going to tell me she wanted, that she was thinking about the divorce. We were flirting in our kitchen. I'm like, chasing her around, like touching her butt, and she's laughing and giggling, and I'm taking pictures of her, and she's beautiful, and it's just like, it was just like one day a switch flipped, and honestly, there was some signs ahead of time that kind of told me that something might have been up, but I didn't want to believe it, and I'm gonna share it. And these are intimate details, but basically we had just finished, making love, and it was a good love-making session. Like, we both came, and it was passionate, and it was beautiful, and, at the very end of it, she started crying, right? And telling me how, we need to find our way back to this, and how much she loved me, and how much we just need to stay in this place and love each other. And it was really odd because, I was kind of like, well, we are, babe, we are in love, we're together, we're always going to be together, and I should have known better, because I've had that happen to me before, straight up. If they cry after they fuck you, then they feel guilty about something, and they either cheated on you, or they've already in their minds decided they didn't want to be with you, or whatever. And honestly, deciding in your mind you don't want to be with someone doesn't carry that much guilt, in my opinion. It's, the only time I've seen women cry in those kinds of intimate situations is after they've done something else they're not really proud of, And what happened was I think she cheated on me with this guy in some way. She might not have slept with him, but, maybe they had some intimacy, of some sort, kissing, hugging, whatever. But it was obviously intimate enough that it made her feel guilty, And so after this was all, done, I didn't think anything of it, but I should have. The red flag was there, and it went off in my head. But I chose not to believe it. This was my wife, we weren't even a year into our marriage, we had a strong family dynamic. We had savings. We had a nice car. We had plans for the future. If I had been this terrible drug addict she claimed I was, would I have had a steady job for the last 5 to 10 years? Would I have had would we have had this nice house? Would we have had money saved? Would we have had this nice car and bills paid and health insurance? No, And I have struggled with addiction in my past, and During me and my wife's relationship, I took Suboxone, to kind of help me medicate and not relapse and not get on these like drugs that I used to have trouble with, And ultimately, because she knew that I used subs, she decided to turn around and say that I was abusing the subs, And honestly, like, every now and then I might have done things to be accused of that, but, I never went over 8 milligrams, which is 8 milligrams Suboxone a day, which is actually pretty normal. Like, some people start off on like 3 or 4 or 5 of those a day. I'm currently down to 4 milligrams, which is half of that a day, and honestly, it helped, it really did, and, I obviously should have been seeking more help for it, but it wasn't just, it didn't directly affect, the stability of our lives, and, no relationship is perfect, but even up to the end, until she turned on me, like, I consider her my best friend. I considered her someone I could talk to anything about, and it was literally just like a switch. It was like one day, it was like I was no longer her husband, friend, and partner. All of a sudden, I was her abuser. I was her enemy, and she started treating me that way. And it was such a traumatic shock for me, because even in past relationships, I'd never had someone do that. Like, I've had people cheat on me. I've had people straight up just walk out on me. Like, people I'd been with for 5 years that I was engaged to, that I moved states with, just straight ghost me, come home to an empty house, and even then they had empathy for me and for our relationship. Even then, they didn't treat me like I was the cause to all of these issues, or that our relationship was, but like, Sarah straight vilified me. Sarah took away Zephram. Sarah accused me of being abusive. She got a restraining order. I mean, it was crazy. It was, and I had to fight all this. I had to spend thousands of dollars, get a lawyer. I went from, from my point of view, happily married with a family and money and savings and plans, to back to square one, divorced, broke, fighting for my reputation. And it was frankly, it was the most traumatic thing I've ever been through, because on top of this, I had my 2 kids, and all of a sudden the reliability and the stability brought by our family was just ripped away from them. And I didn't have any say in it. It wasn't like, I begged my wife to listen to me and to just talk to me, That's all I asked, and I got accused of gaslighting her, manipulating her. And of course, when it came to the whole abuse thing, it was all bullshit, She started telling everyone after she started saying the abuse thing was legit, that I was emotionally and psychologically abusing her, and that already is another red flag, that like, if you're gonna say that this abuse is so bad that you got to get a restraining order, that implies physical violence. That implies like me being an oppressive, angry person, which I was not. Like, I supported Sarah in her endeavors. I even helped her get her business started. I sacrificed so much for her and for our family, and she didn't sacrifice a lot. She actually gained a lot out of the relationship, as opposed to the things that I lost in order to maintain this. Like, I stopped going to school. I gave up on my degree that I was pursuing. I jumped into kind of like a 9-to-5 blue collar, job, so I could support my family. And she still left. And she just fucking one day decided I was gonna be the bad guy, and ruined my reputation, ruined my social standing, ostracized me from her family, and now she's literally living with this guy that she had on the side this whole time. In a house together, raising my son, acting like And it's not even a year. The ink on our fucking paper isn't even dry, you know? And that just blows me away. But anyway, I've got to go inside and meet my son and see this woman that I used to love and that apparently used to love me. So you guys have a great day. Thanks for listening to my rant. And I hope, just don't let anybody knock you off your course, guys. And stay true to yourselves, all right? And don't believe the things these ladies say. Really be mindful. Peace out.